Okay, good morning. Welcome to Splunk Live Seoul. Thank you for coming this morning and spend the day with us. So glad to see so many of you here. So I'll kick off with today's keynote from Splunk. Many of you have seen this slide, right? Nothing new, big data. I think we've been talking about it. Too loud? for the last 10 years. Maybe I should be not so excited. So this is not a new slide, big data, right? So you've seen this probably for the last 10 years. This is from IDC. Data continues to grow. From a study from IDC sponsored by our partner, actually EMC. The new thing right now is the growth in Internet of Things, right? IoT devices. So if you look at the right-hand side, the explosion in growth is going to come from billions and billions of new IoT devices. And this is driving also what you've probably heard at many different conferences is the digital transformation, right? So if you look across all industries, it's being transformed, right? So if you look at shopping, retail, e-commerce, music is all online now, right? You download music. Telecom, your smartphones and your smart apps. Cars, Tesla, more manufacturers coming out with smart cars. If you look across at all industries, it's undergoing a digital transformation. But if you actually look at what drives the digital transformation, what is the blood that runs through every one of these industries or use cases? What is the oil that fuels the engine? It's actually digital data, right? And if you look at digital data, a lot of the digital data is semi or unstructured machine data. Okay, so machine data is driving the digital transformation. If you look at the types of machine data on the right, there are very many. So if you look at machine data, there's a lot of different types of machine data. It's streaming data, meaning it's real time, right? It's not static, it's ongoing. If you could actually look at all the digital data in this room, from Wi-Fi beacons to your smartphones, to your Fitbit fitness trackers, to your smartwatches. If it was all visible, I probably cannot see you because the data will be very thick, right? It will be like a fog. All this data drives the use cases or solutions on the right, right? So whether, again, it's tracking your health, e-wallets or Bitcoin or blockchain technology, or at home now, instead of using a key, you're using digital locks. All this is driving a transformation. So the question is, do you, in your company or in your job or in your industry, do you want to be disrupted, or would you prefer to be the disruptor? And so the question is, with all the data that's available today, real-time data, why should you be running your business based on, for example, last month's sales report or even last week's information? Why shouldn't you be running your business in real time? Right? So that's the fundamental question right now. And so is it possible? Can you really run a business in real time? Right? And so here are some examples of businesses. Most of them are Splunk users, right, that are leveraging the machine data or digital data to do something different. Some of them you will hear from today. Shinhan Bank, Nexon is actually a public use case. You can actually read it on Splunk.com. 7-Eleven, I'll talk a little bit about. But for example, companies like Uber or Airbnb, I think very famous global brands now. If you actually look at their business, they don't actually own anything, right? Uber doesn't own any taxis or cars. Airbnb doesn't own any hotels or buildings, right? They are a pure data business, meaning that they were founded based on leveraging real-time data, and they're successful because of data. So Uber is a great example. What does Uber do? Right? Real-time availability of taxis, right? Real-time locations with GPS data, and real-time matching of that to your need through an app, right? So you say, I need a taxi, and they will match you. What most people don't realize with data-driven companies is that it is a dynamic pricing model. Okay, so meaning that Airbnb or Uber, the price you pay for booking a taxi now could be very different in 2 hours when there's more demand, right? So in fact, also the pricing is dynamic and dependent on real-time data. So yes, it's possible, and there are companies that are running their business on real-time data. In fact, most of the new disruptors, even Tesla, is all based on leveraging data rather than traditional business. So here's an example of the types of data, right? So if you say, well, machine data or digital data is very important, what does it look like? So here's an example of different types of machine data. From social media, in this example, it's Twitter, but it could easily be Line, right? Or it could easily be a WhatsApp message, to IVR, which is customer contact center, to application data, to ordering information. So all this is machine generated. If you look at this data, what do you see? So as people, what do we see? It doesn't mean much, right? It's hard to understand. It's hard to correlate. But if you have a platform that can do that correlation, right, then what do you see? In this case, you see a story, right? And the story is that a customer tried to order something and failed, right? The order failed. It failed because of issues in your application infrastructure, your IT infrastructure. Then this person tried to call the hotline and say, hey, I can't order, and spend 4 minutes waiting to get a response or to get the problem fixed. Was not happy with the 4-minute wait and decided to write something about it, right? Post something on a social media channel. And so this story really only becomes valuable. You only get insight when you have an ability to correlate the information. And so the interesting thing is you see more and more companies now doing these interesting correlation, right? So that's a very basic example, but what if, you can correlate information with real-time road data, right, from transport, or you could correlate data with Wi-Fi beacons, for example, in a shopping mall, where you can actually track and offer real-time promotions depending on where people are walking. Right? So the power is really in correlating different data sets, probably some very unusual or data sets that you probably haven't even thought about, like weather, which enables that transformational innovation, which enables the new use cases that drives new businesses like Uber. So the question is, if data is so valuable, right? And if data is so available, if we're so rich in data, why is it so hard to get insight? Why is it actually so hard to get something valuable out of the data? And in fact, if you look at this particular blog, it's from a very well-renowned Gartner security analyst, Anton. And he said that, and you can read it, there's the link that you can go to the full article. He said that most big data projects fail, right? In fact, he was a little provocative, and he challenged, he said, only 0.1% of big data lake projects really succeed, So, and I think he was just kind of, trying to get conversation going. But it is really hard. So why is it so hard? I think it comes down to 4 things, right? It comes down to the type of data. It comes down to the people. It comes down to system and process. So let's quickly touch on each of them and take a quick look. So data is messy, right? Especially real-time streaming data, especially machine data. We think about even smart TVs now are smart, right? Every manufacturer, the data format is different, right? So by definition, IoT devices, you're going to have thousands, if not millions of vendors, different formats. So data is messy, and because it is real time, it's streaming, there's a lot of data, it's not doing anything. As we said, as people, we cannot read machine data, right? So it doesn't do anything. It comes in, you store it, you say, you know, why am I storing all this data? It's not very useful. The second point is that data scientists now are becoming a scarce skill, right? Very much so like cybersecurity analysts. It's really hard to find good data scientists that can help you to gain insight into your data. You can always hire a data analyst, right? Finding a good one to give you the insight is hard, just like cybersecurity. So it is not easy from a people perspective. From a system and process, right? So, you know, there's a lot of different projects. There's Hadoop, there's open source. I'm sure many of you probably have looked into some of this before. It's getting quite complicated. I remember 2.5 years ago, if you looked at the open source Hadoop ecosystem, I think it was like 8 components, right? As you add real time, as you add things like Spark, as you add more and more functionality, I think it's up to like 25, 30 different components, including authentication, security, and so it's actually gotten really hard. It's a very different world, right? And so, you know, for smaller organizations, or if you don't have the skill set, it's very hard to spin up and then maintain a complex data environment. So this is Splunk's mission statement. So Splunk, we say, let's make machine data accessible, usable, and valuable to everybody, right? So nice statement. What does it really mean? So let's take a quick look. Well, we think it means these things. That it should be accessible to everybody. That you shouldn't need a team, you know, of people just to use it, right? So you could be someone, a student, it could be yourself, to a whole team. It can scale, so big data doesn't have to mean big data, right? You can start with small data and scale up to petabytes of data. You could use it for one thing, or you could use it for multiple use cases. You can build it yourself, so we call it DIY, do it yourself, or, you know, I don't want to build it myself, I don't want to build my own dashboards, I just want to deploy. You can start free to pay, and it doesn't matter where your data sits. So, as you know, many workloads are moving to the cloud. Doesn't matter, right? My data could be in the cloud, it could be on-prem, it could be in Hadoop, it still works. So this is what we think of as our mission statement. Am I dreaming? So is it real? Is it possible? Or is it just another slide? So let's take a look at some customer examples of what people are doing. So right here in Korea, Nexon, very famous online gaming company, is using Splunk. And if you look at why they use Splunk, the very first reason was to get visibility into their operations, right? And as you know, they run an online gaming business, many different components, right, globally. So first thing they did was this gave them visibility into their whole online gaming infrastructure environment, right? Second thing it helped them with was typical. Many companies get customer calls like, you know, my account is not working, or something's going on, or someone's trying to hack the system. And it used to take them a long time in order to find out, right, to respond. Because again, you think any large system is quite complex, right? So they were looking through different logs, trying to, you know, solve a problem. And now they've cut that back by, you know, tremendous amount, because that data is indexed in one place on their Splunk platform, and they're able to search and look for issues. The other thing that it allowed them to do, which was non-technical, right, because before we're just talking about technical infrastructure, IT systems, applications, is they were able to give insights into their business who are non-technical people. for example, about what the users are doing, what items they like to buy the most, and so that allowed the business to run better promotions to their users, right? So again, that real-time visibility into what's driving their gamers helps the business sell more. So here are some other use cases, and of course there are many more here in Korea, some which we unfortunately cannot name, but today you will hear from some of these speakers on other use cases. And these use cases, again, very typical for a data platform, cuts across many different areas, right? So today is not a keynote only about security. Today is not a keynote about IT operations, right? It depends on customers and users what they use it for, and it could be analytics, it could be application development, it could be security, etc. So later today you would hear from some of these Korean users. So for the remaining customer examples, I'll just briefly talk about some of the global or Asia Pacific examples. So 7-Eleven in Indonesia uses Splunk. They used to run promotions, just as a retail shop, you run promotions, right? They used to run a promotion about once a quarter because it took them weeks to analyze their point of sales data. So this is a business analytics retail sort of use case. And so that was too slow. So they actually indexed their data into the Splunk platform, right? And then they correlate it with other information, such as weather. They actually correlate it with Yahoo weather information, can you believe it, which is publicly accessible, in order to understand how their business was running in real time. So this whole thing about operational visibility. And so in order to then think up better promotions or campaigns to roll out. So they went from doing one, let's say, sales campaign a quarter to running 5, right? And they were able to provide better insight into their retail operation, what's selling better on certain days or certain weeks because of the fact that they now have access to that data on one platform. So switching topics, that was more business and retail. Again, I'm just trying to give you a sense of the possibilities of a data platform. Infogen is an Australian energy generation company, right? So they're based in Australia. And so very different use case, right? IoT type data or industrial data, right? Not retail, not security, not IT. So they index data and they're able to then build these real-time dashboards like the one you see on the left that monitors their wind power generation in real time, right? So it's a real-time dashboard. Unfortunately, of course, slides are static, but these are updating in real time. And so you can see that they index very different data sets, right? Database data, RDBMS, logs from the applications, industrial data from SCADA sources, modeled it in Splunk, and then create visibility into their business. Or a very different example, still non-traditional, IoT, right? So airport operations. In fact, the last 2 weeks we ran a similar data jam or hackathon in Hong Kong with the airport, very similar, because in fact what you've realized is airport are very standard, the data sets are very standard. So Gatwick started their journey by IT, very, very typical. Many users use Splunk to help them solve an IT issue or to give them visibility into their IT infrastructure. Then very quickly, they realized the same data that's already indexed or available in the platform can give them visibility into improving their run rate operations. For example, what? On-time arrival at gate and on-time departure at gate. It's a very critical airport SLA or service level indicator. So now they can actually leverage the data to give business value to the operational team. So let me show you one dashboard that they built. And I apologize, some of the data is blacked out because this is a live dashboard. So they actually monitor passenger flow through their terminal, meaning how many people are going through their north terminal versus their south terminal on a daily basis. So they have on the top what they expect, so it's a forecast, and then they have real-time data showing them the actual traffic throughout the day. So this is the type of information that was really hard to build, right? So it's not like companies don't know what they want. I would love to have indicators of, when planes arrive and they leave, because I need to maintain that window. I would love to know if passengers are delayed by a traffic accident on the road that is going to the airport, right? Because then I can redeploy my operations team, because I know in 1 hour later, when the traffic accident has cleared, there's going to be this massive surge of people coming into the airport. So all this is done in real time at Gatwick. So let's switch topics a little and talk about machine learning. There's a lot of interest now on predictive analytics and machine learning. And Splunk has a machine learning library. So you can actually develop machine learning solutions on top of Splunk. So Insight Engine is one partner. And they actually presented at our user conference last year in Florida. And they built a cybersecurity investigator on top of Splunk. So think of, if Splunk is a platform, then you can build additional functionalities on top of the platform, right? Just like you would on a database. So they built this CSI, cybersecurity investigator. It's a natural language processing solution, NLP. So what it does is, instead of security specialists having to query, if you will, the data, right? Just like a SQL query on a database, or an SPL query, search processing language query on Splunk, you can ask a question like a person. So for example, show me the accounts with 10 failed logins over the last week. All right, so that's the type of question you would type, and then the answer would come back up. So this is one example of things you can do on top of Splunk, whether it's through a partner or SI that would build a solution using machine learning algorithms, or you could leverage the library yourself to build that solution. So more on a fun note, right? So machine learning, very heavy topic, deep analytics. Nate McCurvey last year, who's a technical marketing employee at Splunk in our San Francisco office, he was challenged, right, by his friend, predict football play, right? So, Americans love football, right? So NFL, National Football League, is a big thing, and the Super Bowl is a big thing in the US. So Nate was challenged by his friend, say, hey, predict what the quarterback's going to do, or predict what the football team is going to do on the next play. So he actually, and this is the crazy and great thing about the internet, he actually went on the internet and found the last 15 years of NFL football data, and he indexed it on Splunk. And then he applied the machine learning library, and he was able to predict the game, right? He was able to predict the play, so to speak, before it happened. So it was a really interesting story, and it actually got picked up by, Sports Illustrated and CNN, and if you're interested, you can actually go online and watch the video, right? They did a video clip on it. But again, this shows you the power of machine learning, or the power of platform doesn't have to be with big teams, right? That you don't need, a team of 20 or 30 data scientists and analytics. Nate by himself on the weekends was able to, this wasn't his job, by the way, do something really fun with machine learning. So another example of fun stuff, okay? So Nanyang Polytechnic is a Singaporean institution, educational institution. They actually use Splunk in their curriculum, in their courses. But every year they also run what we call a Splunk challenge, right, to the students. So every year it's kind of like a hackathon. Last year the winner made this use case. He was interested in Pokemon Go. So the contest, the Splunk challenge runs like this. You get 2 days of training to use Splunk, right? So again, this is not weeks or months of training. You get 2 days to some basic training on Splunk, and then you have 24 hours to develop something on Splunk. So it's a 24-hour, it's a 1-day Splunk challenge hackathon. The winner last year was a student, computer science student, built this dashboard using Pokemon Go data available from the internet, and won the contest. So on the upper right, for example, he wanted to know, because he was a Pokemon Go player, he loved Pokemon Go, he wanted to know, people were saying you could find more water-type Pokemons if you went closer to water, right? If you went closer to the river or the lake, you can find more water-based Pokemons. And so he actually splunked the data, and he proved that that theory was false, right? So if you look at your upper right, the orange is false, meaning it's not true, and the red is it is true. You can find water-type Pokemons closer to water. So this is the interesting things you can do with data, right? Does this have any business value? Not really, right? But did this take a lot of time from the student? Not really either, right? Something interesting he wanted to do. It's like you saying, I need to look at, build a report or build a chart with some of my data, and then you go put it on a spreadsheet, right? So this is what he did on Splunk. So back to more serious topic. So Yelp is a very well-known American kind of foodie or food business. They are also a Splunk customer or user. Very similar story about the journey. If you look at a lot of users, they start either in security or IT, and then they expand the use case. They start with IT, and then they started to realize that the same data can help them give real-time visibility into their business, and so they went from there. So they actually have, I believe, more than 10 terabytes of data index on Splunk every day. So it's a daily index. So instead of me talking about Yelp's use case, why don't we let them talk about themselves, and let's roll the video.
Yelp is a website and a mobile app that connects people with great local businesses. The amount of data flowing into our Splunk systems is well in excess of 10 terabytes per day. Departments that are using Splunk right now started definitely as an engineering phenomenon, but quickly grew to encompass product management, and then as Splunk was deployed, got pushed further into non-technical parts of the organization, including business operations. So the earliest scenario that we ran into of a department that started using Splunk outside of the core engineering was actually our platform delivery team that handles all of our food orders. So we now have a very thorough set of dashboards around how that delivery order pipeline works, as well as alerting to be able to push delivery exceptions or food delivery alerts out to the operational teams that are behind the food delivery platform. Before we were on Splunk, we were very heavy users of Elk, the Elasticsearch Logstash Kibana stack. And with Elk, in order to get Elk to scale, we had to have multiple Elk clusters, one per data type. And this led to having fractured data sets all over the place. In order to be able to investigate correlations between data sets or to be able to drill down between data sets, it just simply wasn't possible. And with Splunk, we've been able to funnel all 10 plus terabytes of our log data into a central point.
So the ability to rapidly build out the dashboard using ad hoc, using reporting, and really kind of like effectively curate the data so that I can understand what's happening, and then quickly hit save and then shove it off to someone else so that they can help me, has been interminably valuable. It's unbelievable. I've stopped panicking when things go wrong.
The biggest thing that Splunk has done to address the challenge is actually the modularity of the platform, because the open modular inputs mechanism allowed us to really quickly get started plugging into our Kafka-based data pipeline. But then as things have evolved over time, we've been able to extend and write new modular inputs quickly. I think the biggest thing it's allowed us to do that we couldn't do before was actually democratization of the data. Splunk is a core component of our platform for us at this point, and we've built a lot of code around Splunk both to integrate it with our open source technologies as well as extend it. I strongly believe Splunk is a good complement to an open source strategy. Splunk is something I'm absolutely proud to take from job to job. I think it's really helped propel the organization forward and change Yelp's engineering for the better. So yeah, absolutely, I'm very happy to have brought Splunk from job to job.
When it comes to firefighting, there is no better tool than Splunk.
So that was one customer. There's obviously a lot of interesting customer stories on Splunk.com. So if you're interested, please go there. So again, we talked about digital disruption, right? So, digital transformation, digital disruption. These are the characteristics we think would enable yourselves, people like you, to leverage that data or to be part of that disruption, right? So I'm not going to cover it again. I hope the examples illustrate these points that are here. And again, if you're interested to learn more, a lot more videos, case studies, customer stories available on our Splunk.com website. So just briefly on the technology, so how does this really work? How does the machine data platform empower you? So these are the characteristics of the platform, that if you index the data once, it's accessible to everybody, right? It doesn't matter whether you're in cybersecurity, it doesn't matter whether you're in business analytics, it doesn't matter if you're in IT, that the data is accessible, and really depending on your dashboard or what you want to query, you would get value from it. It's not a closed system. So we had users that created their own Python scripts, right? Because they have very proprietary algorithms. So the Hong Kong Marine Department is a good example. They do real-time ship monitoring around the Hong Kong harbor. They have some sophisticated analytics or algorithms built, proprietary algorithms. They still index the data on Splunk and run their algorithms and then visualize it back on Splunk. So whether you're into open source or other technologies, that it's an open ecosystem, that it gives you the real-time insights, right? So data streams, right? So we have manufacturing customers here that, in a manufacturing environment has very complex event streaming, right? So again, it's all about real-time. It doesn't matter where your data sits. As we said, a lot of companies are moving workloads into the cloud. That's fine. It could be hybrid. You could have data sets still in your data center in the cloud. It shouldn't stop you from leveraging a platform. And it can scale in terms of volume. So Splunk does this in a number of ways. There is this kind of developer layer, whether it's through software development kits, SDKs, or through the REST API. And you can build things on top of Splunk. So many people don't realize that there's over 1,000 apps available on Splunk base, which is Splunk's version of the App Store, let's say, for Apple, right? So you can actually leverage these pre-built apps. You can download it and start looking at dashboards and looking at your environment. And so this enables the different use cases. And these are the 5 kind of common areas. Again, there are very interesting things people are doing with Splunk, obviously, that don't sit in these 5 areas. But these are kind of the 5 broad areas of use cases that we see a lot of users and customers use Splunk for. So let's go into quickly these 5 top categories. So let's start with security. And so as we said, Splunk is well recognized in security, right? So we're recognized as a leader in the Magic Quadrant, Gartner's Magic Quadrant for security information and event management for 4 years now. So we're very well known in security. Again, the reminder is we're not just a security solution, right? The data that you index for your security purpose can be used for IT without any additional costs. And so if you look at what users are doing or using Splunk for in security, again, it covers many different aspects, as you would imagine. It's a data platform. So if you want to use it for investigation, great. If you need it for compliance reporting, no problem. If you're looking for advanced threats or searching for the unknown unknowns, go for it. If you are interested in insider threat, you can do that, right? So as long as the data is indexed and you're able to structure your queries and build your dashboards, those use cases are available to you. If you prefer to have an out-of-the-box solution, then we also have that in our what we call our premium solutions, enterprise security. Or if you're interested in behavioral analytics, then UBA. So if you want more of the pre-built solution, they're also available. And as we said before, if you just want to leverage the community, you want to leverage other vendors, right? Some who are sponsors here today. Their apps are available on the App Store. And so the new initiative for Splunk is what we call the adaptive response, which means that we're working with other vendors in the cybersecurity space in order to provide a more effective response to the threats out there, right? So we know hackers collaborate. Unfortunately, vendors don't do as much, but now that we have a way, a security nerve center, right, with Splunk indexing data, we have now a mechanism to actually collaborate and share amongst the industry, right? So this is this effort around adaptive response and collaboration with other players in the cybersecurity space. Again, if you're interested in this, we have sessions in the afternoon, as well as we have our Splunk booth outside that we'll be happy to talk more about. So let me play the second video. So that was security, and why, what's better than me talking about security is obviously having a user talk about security. And in this case, our customer is NASDAQ. So can we roll the NASDAQ video?
NASDAQ is a global exchange operator. We operate exchanges globally. We provide technology for markets to operate their own markets globally. Splunk has positively impacted our business in a number of ways. We have probably gained an efficiency level of over 50% in our analyst ability to track down data. And it has sped up our investigations equally as much. Splunk allows us to have a single skill set that's common across organization, right? So information security is writing queries but using the same language as the operations team. Our ability to instrument Splunk at a very high level, so level 2 and level 3 engineers being our highest level engineers, for them to instrument something that is actionable by a level 1 engineer makes us very efficient. So it's reusable, and it gives us a very deep understanding of our data, and we can create something once, a correlation rule once, and expect that the level 1 engineers will be able to act upon it. And we also have plugged in the Splunk UBA product to give us insight into our insider threat. That tool is giving us a deep insight into our insider threat within NASDAQ, and also what our trusted users are doing at any given point in time. So what a user's doing here versus what he may be doing elsewhere, and that correlation can be important.
So NASDAQ actually presented at our user conference in the US, our annual user conference in 2014. So the CISO at that time talked about Splunk, and obviously they've taken that journey with us over the last couple of years and used more and more functionality of Splunk. So let me just quickly touch on the other 4 categories, right? We said there was 5 kind of big categories of use cases. Again, there's more deeper sessions in today's breakout session. So depending on whether you're interested in IT or analytics, you probably want to go to the right session this afternoon. So IT operations, I only mentioned 2 things. One is one of the most common Splunk use cases, very easy to reduce troubleshooting times and to identify root cause with Splunk. And you see some of the numbers here, right? 70 to 90% reduction in time to investigate. Again, in IT operations, the number one thing has always been visibility. What is going on in my environment? What is broken? What's working? And then ability to have rapid response. And you see some customer names up here as well. The next level up in IT is what we call IT service intelligence. And this is now the ability to look at business services, right? So IT infrastructure powers business services, right? So for example, an insurance claim workflow, right? Processing an insurance claim is supported by IT systems. Or credit card applications, right? Is powered by IT systems, right? So if you talk to the business, they don't want to know how the server is running. They don't need to know. They don't care about how the network is performing. They just want to know how come, right, the number of credit card applications has slowed down or stopped, So the translation is from IT to business, and this is what's possible with what we call IT service intelligence. Nexon is a good example of application delivery, all right? Again, visibility into my environment, and then therefore ability to find issues or to understand performance issues in my environment. So again, and of course the third thing in application delivery or DevOps is the ability to roll out new features or new games or new functionalities quicker, right? So this is the app dev use case. Analytics we also talked about, right? Depending on whether you're 7-Eleven or Nexon with, selling more virtual items on their gaming platform, or to Gatwick Airport, right? Giving indication into real-time runway operations. These are all traditional business intelligence or business analytic use cases. And finally, Splunk for IoT. Again, InfoGen, wind turbine. Actually, last month I was in India, and we saw the same use case, right? There are a lot of these examples, whether it's in Asia-Pac, in the US, in EMEA. People are also indexing their smart power grid for electricity grids or water solutions. Denver Water Company in the US is another example. So all these examples are available on Splunk.com. So many different use cases. Again, the theme is index your data once. It's not in silos. You don't have to buy solutions in silos anymore. Index your data once, which enables many different use cases for different teams in your organization. So that, instead of me talking about it, the really nice thing about Splunk is, it doesn't have to be slideware. I would like to invite Sendon to come up and actually do a live demo on the use cases of Splunk. Please welcome Sendon.
네, 반갑습니다. 스플렁크의 최승돈이라고 합니다. 예, 앞에서 키노트에서 다양한 이제 스플렁크 유스 케이스에 대해서 소개를 들으셨는데요. 그리고 이미 여기 계신 분들이 몇 년 동안 이제 스플렁크를 많이 쓰신 분들도 계시지만 저희 요 라이브 데모에서는 오늘 스플렁크를 처음 들으셨던 분 대상으로 해서 과연 스플렁크가 어떤 물건인지에 대해서 간략하게 한번 실시간 데모로 한번 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 처음부터 이제 마이크가 안 나오는 불상사가 있었네요. 앞에서 이런 IT 운영 관제, 보안, 비즈니스 분석, IoT 같은 다양한 사용 사례들을 소개를 드렸는데요. 결국 이런 다양한 사례들이 가능했던 것은 어떤 앞에서 말씀드린 이 포맷도 다 다른 비정형 머신 데이터를 실시간으로 수집하고 그 데이터의 양에 상관없이 그게 하루에 기가든 테라든 몇 페타가 됐던 이를 분산해서 저장할 수 있는 빅데이터 저장 능력, 그리고 이거를 분석하고 시각화하는 데이터의 어떤 전체 라이프 사이클을 여러 툴들 통합하는 것이 아니고 스플렁크 하나의 솔루션에서 다 지원한다는 그 말씀을 드렸었습니다. 여태까지 계속 머신 데이터 얘기를 많이 했었는데요. 실제 데이터가 어떻게 생겼을까요? 네, 이런 식으로 윈도우 서버처럼 정제가 된 것처럼 키 이퀄 밸류 이런 식으로 좀 정제가 된 것도 있지만 대부분은 단순한 숫자값, 문자값의 나열에 불과한 비정형 데이터들이 대부분입니다. 이 비정형 데이터를 어떻게 빨리 모아서 잘 분석을 해서 우리는 스플렁크를 통해서 여러 가지 유스 케이스를 사용할 수 있었는데요. 한 예로 우리가 이제 어플리케이션 서버 로그를 가지고 분석을 한다면 대부분은 이제 성능 모니터링, IT 관제 용도로 활용한다고 생각을 하시는데요. 여러 고객들의 스플렁크의 고객들을 활용한 결과 이 어플리케이션 로그가 일반적인 전통적인 유스 케이스보다 보안이나 IT 실제 비즈니스 분석에도 활용이 될 수 있다는 것을 확인할 수 있습니다. 어플리케이션 서버 로그뿐만 아니고 여러 가지 모든 머신 데이터들이 다양한 유스 케이스를 쓰일 수 있어서 이런 머신 데이터를 잘 활용을 해서 스플렁크에서는 운영 인텔리전스라는 것을 이제 획득을 한다고 얘기를 합니다. 이 방대한 다양한 포맷의 데이터를 검색을 하고 문제를 찾아 나가고 그리고 선제적으로 어떤 문제가 나기 전에 모니터링하고 그걸 미리 알려서 장애를 예방하고 그리고 다양한 데이터를 가지고 우리 서비스에 대한 가치성을 확보를 해서 실시간적으로 어떤 비즈니스 디시전을 메이킹하는 이런 인사이트를 확보하는 것들이 스플렁크에서 얘기하는 어떤 그 운영 인텔리전스라고 말씀드릴 수 있을 것 같은데요. 가장 첫 단계에는 이제 검색부터 활용을 해보도록 하겠습니다. 보통 이제 기업의 IT 환경을 보시면은 수백 수천 대의 서버 디바이스들이 있죠. 특히 요새 IoT 같이 하면은 수백만 대, 수천만 대의 IoT 장비들도 있을 거고요. 거기서 장애가 났다고 한번 생각을 해보면 막상 그 장애를 찾아 나가기 위해서 기존의 전통적으로 방법은 이 서버에 들어가서 여기가 장애 났나? 아니다. 그럼 또 다른 서버에 들어가서 확인하고 굉장히 오래 걸리죠. 마치 만일 우리가 구글에 웹 검색을 하듯이 이 모든 머신 데이터에 대해서 즉각적으로 검색할 수 있는 인터페이스가 있다면은 이런 장애 시간을 굉장히 줄일 수가 있을 것 같습니다. 스플렁크의 가장 기본적인 기능이 이 검색 기능입니다. 구글의 검색창처럼 검색창을 제공을 하고요. 만약 우리가 여기서 에러나 fail이라는 어떤 장애를 한번 검색을 해보도록 하겠습니다. 스플렁크는 즉각적으로 이 에러나 fail이 난 어떤 문자열에 대해서 다양한 데이터의 원본 소스들을 그대로 보여줍니다. 게다가 친절하게도 스플렁크가 어떤 호스트에서 에러가 났고 걔가 어떤 어플리케이션 서버다, 어플리케이션이 났다라는 것들이 즉각적으로 확인을 할 수가 있습니다. 이게 첫 번째 이제 검색인 거죠. 이게 장애를 예측할 수도 있고 만약 해커가 우리 시스템에 침투해가지고 어떤 데이터를 내부 데이터를 유출했다라고 한다면 보안팀에서 얘기하는 이제 포렌식 행위 같은 것들도 이런 검색 용도에 활용이 될 수 있을 것 같습니다. 좀 더 나가서 이제 IT 운영 관점에서 봤을 때 내가 한 웹서버를 어떤 물건을 주문하는 어떤 서비스를 운영한다고 생각하고 웹서버에 대한 성능을 제가 모니터링하고 싶다고 한번 가정을 해보겠습니다. 아까의 검색창에서 스플렁크의 웹서버만 한번 검색을 해보면요. 자동으로 이제 웹서버에 있는 이 아파치 웹로그를 보여주고요. 오른쪽에 보시면 이 비정형 데이터에서 필요한 데이터들, 필드들을 자동으로 추출하게 됩니다. 우리는 이제 웹서버의 반응 속도를 가지고, 응답 속도를 가지고 성능을 보려고 하니까요. 이 타임 테이큰 필드를 가지고 쓰면 되겠죠. 근데 안타깝게도 앞에서 말씀드렸듯이 이제 IoT 시대 이러니까 일반적인 웹서버가 아니고 벤더마다 이런 포맷들이 전부 다 다르다는 거죠. 이럴 때 스플렁크에 어떻게 보면은 기존의 분석 방법 대비 가장 큰 차이점이 하나인 스키마 온더 플라이라는 기능을 활용하실 수 있습니다. 동적으로 UI를 통해서 저희가 필드를 미리 정의하는 것이 아니고 분석을 하다가 중간에 결정을 하는 겁니다. 웹서버에서는 이 마지막 부분이 그 응답 속도를 나타내는 부분일 텐데요. 저희가 임의로 필드 이름을 ZZ라고 지정을 했습니다. 그리고 나서 검색을 다시 해보면 해당되는 필드가 동적으로 할당이 됐습니다. 이 기존에 한 30년 동안 우리가 데이터베이스의 중심의 관점에서 분석을 하는 입장에서 본다면은 이런 로그를 분석하기 위해서는 처음에 테이블 구조를 디자인해서 모델링해서 다 정해놓고요. ETL 툴을 통해서 이 원본 데이터들을 다 정지해서 그 테이블 구조에 맞춰서 넣어야 됐었습니다. 만약 로그에 새로운 필드가 추가되거나 새로운 어떤 요구사항이 나오게 되면은 테이블 구조를 바꾸든지 해야 되는, 결국 그 테이블 구조에 맞춰서 정해진 질문만 해줄 수 있는 그런 분석 구조였지만 스플렁크는 이런 동적으로 어떤 질문이 있었을 때 그 질문의 가장 마지막 단계에서 이 동적으로 필드를 추출하는 스키마 온더 플라이라는 기능을 통해서 훨씬 더 좀 애자일하고 다양한 질문들을 던질 수 있게 됩니다. 우리는 요 추가된 필드를 가지고 한번 이제 시간에 따른 평균값을 한번 그려보도록 하겠습니다. 보니 이 시간대를 딱 보니 계속 뭐 문제 없이 아주 스테이블하게 응답 시간에 나가다가 요 시간대부터 갑자기 응답 시간이 올라갑니다. 이 정도 되면 장애겠죠. 장애가 나기 전에 우리 선제적으로 프로액티브하게 모니터링해서 담당자에게 조치를 취하도록 해야 됩니다. 스플렁크 간단하게 경고를 만들 수 있습니다. 실시간에서 나는 이 실시간으로 이 응답 시간을 모니터링하고 있다. 갑자기 올라가게 되면은 이메일을 보내거나 서비스 데스크에 등록해서 담당자에게 티켓을 할당해서 빨리 고쳐라. 이런 식으로 선제적으로 대응이 가능하겠죠. 그래서 우리는 이제 모니터링하는 이 시각화하는 대시보드들도 시각화하는 화면들도 별도의 BI 툴이나 어떤 시각화 툴 없이 스플렁크에서 직접 다 즉각적으로 제공을 해줄 수 있습니다. 저만 쓰기는 너무 아깝습니다. 이거를 저희 IT 팀 모두에게 공유를 해서 같이 한번 써보도록 하고 싶습니다. 그러면은 우선 좀 이쁘게 포맷을 바꿔서요. 저 호스트별로, 저 웹서버별로 한번 응답 시간이 어떻게 되는지 한번 볼게요. 보기 복잡하네요. 저희는 따로 이런 식으로 나눴습니다. 네. 그래서 저희는 요 시각화를 대시보드로 만들 수 있습니다. 라이브라는 대시보드를 만들고요. 저장을 하게 되면 요 하나 자체가 곧장 대시보드가 된 겁니다. 그래서 저희가 요 대시보드를 다른 팀들과 공유를 할 수가 있는 거죠. 그리고 일반적인 보통의 이런 시각화, 모니터링 관제 툴들이 하나의 딱 뷰만 보여주고 나머지를 더 드릴다운 하게 되려면은 다른 어떤 실제 쉘로 들어가서 서버에 들어가서 봐야 되는 데 비해서 스플렁크는 아주 쉽게 드릴다운 기능들을 구현을 할 수가 있습니다. 전혀 개발 공수 필요 없이 UI 단에서 내가 이 연결을 그대로 만들어 주는 거죠. 이런 식으로 만들어 주게 되면은 우리는 해당되는 시점에서 어떤 더 드릴다운해서 문제를 파악해 보고 싶다 하면은 이런 식으로 개발 없이 곧장 대시보드로 연결을 시켜줄 수가 있습니다. 그래서 IT 운영관제 팀의 대시보드에 우리 만들었던 거를 연결해 봤습니다. 더 큰 문제가 있네요. 응답 속도도 느려지지만 트랜잭션이 계속 실패하고 있습니다. 보통 이런 상황이 되면은 네트워크 팀 사람 모으고 스토리지 팀 사람 모으고 개발자 모으고 DBA 모으고 해서 얼음을 만듭니다. 그리고 막 싸우기 시작합니다. 내 잘못이 아니다. 네 잘못이다. 이러면서 계속 싸우죠. 이게 서로 다른 뷰들, 스토리지 어드민은 스토리지 모니터링 툴을 보고 있고 뭐 DBA는 DB 모니터링 툴을 보고 있기 때문에 서로 다른 뷰를 가지고 있기 때문이겠죠. 스플렁크는 이 모든 종류의 데이터를 한 통에 모아놓고 나래비를 세워서 누구 잘못이다라는 걸 훨씬 더 빨리 찾아내는 겁니다. 스토리지를 봤더니 스토리지가 갑자기 올라갔네요. 네. DB 쪽에 스토리지가 올라갔습니다. 왜 올라갔을까요? 같이 나래비를 세워보는 거죠. 같은 시점에 헤비 코리가 갑자기 돌기 시작했습니다. 여기서 더 나가서 누가 이걸 돌렸냐라는 거를 확인해 보면 프레드 사무엘이라는 사람이 모든 직원의 정보를 갑자기 뽑아내고 있습니다. 우리는 성능 문제인지 알고 이 문제를 접근했는데 갑자기 보안의 문제가 커지기 시작했습니다. 그렇다면 이제 더 좋은 소식은 동일한 데이터를 하나의 스플렁크에서 보안적인 관점에서도 보실 수 있다는 점입니다. 보안적인 뷰에서 보면은 동일한 시점에 갑자기 노터블 이벤트들이, 크리티컬한 노터블 이벤트들이 갑자기 많이 생기기 시작했습니다. 노터블 이벤트는 앞에서 말씀드렸던 패스워드가 지난 5분 동안 패스워드 실패를 10번 이상 했다든지 아니면 전통적인 보안 툴, IDS, IPS 같은 장비에서 나오는 어떤 보안 관제 요원이 관심을 기울여야 되는 이벤트들 모두가 될 수 있겠죠. 확인을 해봤더니 우리가 생각했던 대로 SQL 인젝션 어택이 계속 발생을 하고 있고요. 우리 스플렁크의 지오로케이트 함수를 쓰면은 앞에서 보여드렸듯이 간단하게 명령 하나만으로 지도와 연결을 해서 어느 지역에서 이 공격이 일어나고 있는지 확인을 할 수가 있습니다. 지금 IT 운영과 보안에 대해서 이제 스플렁크를 쓰는 걸 보여드렸는데요. 개발팀에서 쓸 수 있습니다. 개발 툴체인들, Git 같은 커밋 툴이나 CI/CD 툴 같은 거가 같이 이런 데이터들을 스플렁크에 모아놓게 되면은 개발에서 새로운 어떤 백로그 수라든지 커밋 수, 우리가 개발해놨던 어떤 시스템이 개발계랑 운영계랑 QA계가 잘 돌고 있는가 이런 것들을 같이 모니터링할 수 있고요. 앞에서 보여드렸던 운영 대시보드와 함께 나래비를 세워서 요새 흔히 얘기하는 데브옵스 대시보드가 이렇게 쉽게 뚝딱 구축이 됐습니다. 앞에서 말씀하셨듯이 실제 이 9시 29분 정도부터 해서 갑자기 응답 시간이 올라갔는데 에러율도 올라가게 됐습니다. 왜 올라갔을까 한번 확인을 해보면 얘가 특정 OS 버전에서 에러가 많이 났나? 아니면 특정 앱 버전에서 에러가 많이 났나를 확인해 봤더니 가장 최신 버전이 4.6 버전에서 에러가 많이 났네요. 그럼 뭔가 이 최신 버전에 문제가 있었던 거죠. 누가 이 4.6 버전을 커밋을 했나 확인해 봤더니 빌리라는 인턴이 이상한 짓을 했습니다. 이상한 소스를 커밋을 해서 우리 취약점이 생긴 거죠. 이 취약점이 생긴 걸 가지고 실제 이 버전에서 보았던 정보를 한번 봤더니 프레드 사무엘 씨가 SQL 인젝션 공격을 열심히 이 코드에 대해서 수행을 하고 있는 것이었습니다. 이제 IT 사람들 관점이 말고 현업 관점에서 우리 이 지금 사건 사고가 우리 현업 비즈니스에 어떤 영향을 미쳤는지 한번 확인해 보겠습니다. 당연히 트랜잭션이 실패를 계속하니까 실시간적으로 지난 30분 대비 레비뉴가 계속 우리 매출이 줄어들고 있습니다. 근데 비용도 계속 올라가네요. 왜 그럴까? 줄다운해서 확인해 보겠습니다. 클라우드 코스트가 갑자기 올라갔습니다. 왜 올라갔을까? 봤더니 우리가 응답 시간이 느리고 그러니까 우리 아마존 인스턴스들이 자동으로 오토스케일을 해서 응답 속도를 맞추기 위해서 막 늘어나고 있는 겁니다. 응답 속도 늦고 에러 나고 그러니까 이제 고객들이 불만 콜을 계속 날리겠죠. 콜센터에 전화를 하겠죠. 이 콜센터 정보들을 한번 확인해 보겠습니다. 우리 스플렁크는 이제 고객 VOC 콜센터 정보와 고객 기준 정보, 뭐 고객의 충성도나 돈 많이 쓰는 고객들 대상으로 하는 기준 정보랑 같이 조인을 해서 실제 어떤 고객들이 전화를 하는지 이런 것들을 곧장 보실 수가 있고요. 그 중에서 이제 중요 고객들만 한번 본다면은 앞에서 보듯이 특정 이런 중요 고객이 이 해당되는 고객의 모든 데이터들을 한 통에 모아놔서 실제 25분 전에 이 고객이 어떤 주문을 했는데 이들의 에러 때문에 그 거래가 성사되지 못했다. 화가 나서 전화를 했습니다. 콜센터에. 근데 거의 5분 동안 대기만 하고 있다가 너무 화가 나서 우리 회사 욕을 트위터에 날렸습니다. 이런 고객들이 굉장히 많아지고 있습니다. 이제 현업의 입장에서는 이런 대상들, 돈 많이 쓰시는 고객들 대상으로 쿠폰을 날리든지 해서 우리 사이트에서의 이제 고객 이탈을 방지하는 어떤 실시간 디시전을 메이킹 해야 되겠죠. 이게 앞에서 보여드렸던 실시간 OI 레벨 4인 실시간 비즈니스 디시전 인사이트를 구축하는 과정입니다. 경영자의 입장에서 앞에 사건을 한번 쫙 정리를 해보면요. 어떤 IT 운영적으로 장애가 발생을 했습니다. 이 장애는 우리가 시스템 장애라기보다는 어떤 보안 침해 사고에 의한 것이었고요. 그 보안 침해가 일어났던 원인은 어떤 취약점이 있는 코드가 디플로이 됐기 때문에 우리가 구멍을 만들어 준 것이죠. 그 실시간적으로 우리 매출이 어떻게 줄어들었다는 것들을 경영자의 입장에서 다 확인을 할 수 있습니다. 왜냐하면 이 슬픈 내용에 대해서 이런 사건이 나면 이제 거의 밑에 있는 사람들은 죽어나가겠죠. 이런 슬픈 내용에 대해서 데모를 보여드렸는데요. 스플렁크를 도입해서 장애가 발생을 하기 전에 미리 선제적으로 감지해서 장애의 응답 암티티아를 줄이고 그리고 보통 일반적인 보안 침해 사고들을 디텍트하는데 2달에서 3달이 걸린다는데요. 스플렁크를 통해서 2달, 3달이 아니고 몇 분 만에 이런 보안 침해를 디텍트를 하고 실시간적으로 고객의 불만 사항을 파악을 해서 이를 곧장 고객의 이탈 행위를 방지하는 어떤 비즈니스 디시전을 결정하는 이 데이터에 기반한 어떤 그 프로세스들이 제가 요 데모를 통해서 보여드렸던 내용입니다. 예, 제가 준비한 내용은 여기까지고요. 다시 이 윌슨 데모로 들어가도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you, Sendong. So it's really amazing, right? I mean, depending on what you want to do, you have a platform that can index almost any type of data. If you only are interested in security, cybersecurity, you would index those type of data sources. If you are responsible for IT, you'll be looking at application logs and server logs and network logs and, you know, probably now your app logs from your smartphone, your web server logs, right? But once you index, and this is the secret sauce, if you will, of the platform, right? Once you index that data, it's actually accessible to everybody. And so when we say different people asking different questions on the same data, it's a different query. It's building a different dashboard. The data is already in the platform. And of course, as we said, it's not limited to only machine data or logs anymore, right? If you want to pull customer records or ordering information from databases, you can do that, right? If you want to correlate with publicly available data sets on the internet, like Yahoo weather information, or like Deutsche Bahn, who is the railway company in Germany, who correlate against earthquake data from their government, you can do that. So the possibilities are pretty amazing. And so if you want to actually get started, you're not alone. There's actually a very strong user community, Splunk user groups, right? You can leverage the apps on Splunk base, as we said. They're already there. You just download them. It's available. You don't have to pay for them. You can ask many Splunk users on our Just Ask community. There are at least 2 Splunk user groups here in Korea that you can ask for support. There are events like Splunk and of course, if you are a developer, then there's a whole different source of information for our developer community on dev.splunk.com. So let me close with an ask for you, is to begin your data journey if you haven't already. Be that data ninja, right? Attend the breakout sessions because they do have different topics and they do show different use cases, right? Whether it's security, IT, or otherwise. Drop by the Splunk booth, right? We have a Splunk bar. We are serving some wine. You know, ask a question, have a glass of wine. Leverage the free information, right? We have a new ebook that you can download for free. Different types of machine data. Many people don't realize what it is, where can I get it, right? Download the ebook, attend the e-learning free courses, leverage the Splunk apps, and you know, the call to action we have for you is just try it, right? It's a free download. You know, whether you try a cloud trial or download it, install it in your own on-prem, you know, it's free. Try it before you buy it. Empower yourself. And with that, close the keynote. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for coming today, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.